Hey everybody, Whitney with Girl Friday Crafts here. Welcome to Craft with Me Saturday. We are going to do the October Chalk Club Couture project, which is the official name is Gumdrop Buttons. So here is the transfer. Actually, I'm gonna hold up this camera. That's probably a little better. So here's the transfer, and your chalkable shape is this little gingerbread man. And this is one of the new chalkable shapes that is a bit wider, and so actually is a true shelf sitter. You get that, and then 3 packets of paste. You get Peachy King, Camel, and Bark. Here we go. One of the images of him. And this is what he looks like all finished. So you've got, with him, you've got all your little buttons to use, and you've got the twine to wrap around his neck as a little scarf. And then if you don't want to use the actual attachable buttons, you've got them in the transfer where you can, where you can just chalk them on. So I did get my second screen back in StreamYard, which I'm real happy about. Figured out how to do that again. And so what I'm going to do actually first is we are going to paint him with the camel paste, and then we'll chalk our design on him. And then what I'm going to do with him is we are going to attach him to this shiplap sign, because I want to add some of these candy cane elements. Oh, the lighting, I'm so sorry. There we go, candy cane elements. So we're going to chalk some of that and add some things to the shiplap sign, and then we're going to attach him to that. Then you have a cute little wall sign, or you can get a plate stand and it would sit on a shelf. So we have our little gingerbread cutout painted. I opted to paint him with a Mississippi mud acrylic paint because the bark was a little darker than I wanted, and the camel was a little lighter than I wanted, so this got me right in between. And we're going to add some elements to him first. We're going to do what I want on the palette board. I don't have to buzz this a lot because there's a lot of negative space, so there's not a whole lot that's going to stick. But I do want to put a couple of times. Now the fun part, which is to line this up. What I have found is that as opposed to trying to line the whole thing up all at once, it's best to just line up a certain area, get that in place, and then just kind of adjust as you go. So you might, there we go. Okay. And because I am in kind of a pink and teal Christmas mood this year, apparently, we are going to use Ballet Slipper, which is another new color. The Ballet Slipper came out before the holiday release, so maybe the Kits and Caboodles collection or autumn, one of those two prior releases. This is one of the new. It's an en vogue color, so it's not a permanent part of the collection. So if you like it, you want to snag it. But pink Christmas is still very much on trend, so can get a lot of use out of it for sure. And I'm going to use a larger squeegee. This is actually the small squeegee, but I usually don't use these unless I'm chalking a very large surface or doing a t-shirt when I'm doing a whole design in one color. I like to have a little more control, which I feel like I get with the smaller. But this is a large area that's going to take a lot of paste because it's a lot of negative space. So I want to make sure I kind of cover a lot pretty quickly. Vanilla was an en vogue color that was released at the same time as the ballet slipper. So that's another one that I don't think is going to be a permanent part of the collection. People really like it, so it's possible. I'm going to pull that up. There we go. That's better. To our friend here. Now I'm going to use the drying tool. So because I'm going to chalk on this, I want to let it sit for just a little bit before I do that. And then we're going to start to add some elements to our palette board. Or no, sorry, this is the shiplap on my palette board. This is the 9x12 shiplap 7. And it's nice and smooth, so I do not feel the need to wax anything before I chalk on it. We're going to sit these pieces sticky side up off to the side here. Can't get them off my fingers so that I can cut this transfer. And we're going to put some candy cane elements, squiggly elements, onto our shiplap side. And kind of an idea that just came to me. So the name of this transfer is Gumdrop Buttons. And I don't know you, but what I hear in my head when I hear that is a line from a particular animated where gingerbread characters referencing its Gumdrop Buttons in a very high-pitched voice. So I was thinking it would look really cute to put across the top of the palette and have it say Gumdrop Buttons. But I might actually do that in vinyl, just to get a little mixed media in, and then bow. And then what I was going to do was attach twine to the back as a hanger, so you could hang this on the wall. And then we're going to layer candy canes, and I'm going to alternate between ballet slipper on the bottom and teal on the top, couture teal on the top, and then the other way around. Now I do wish we had a shimmery pink, because I have a shimmer couture teal. Ooh, but I do have shimmer watercolor. That might work. So that I would have, a matte layer on the bottom, and then when I go over it on the top, have a shimmer, but that I could go the way I kind of want to. So if I'm going to put something at the top, if I'm going to put like Gumdrop Buttons up there, up here, and then got to make sure I have some room. And then I don't care if the gingerbread and it ends up laying on top of my candy canes when it's all set up. But you want more than two candy canes, because I want at least two of the color combinations I was thinking about. So I'll have to make sure I can space that out right. We're going to do this. And I might have to end up washing the transfer in between, because I don't know exactly how I want everything laid out. And so I can't immediately take this and then make my next candy cane, because I'm not exactly sure where I want them. And I might have to put the gingerbread man back down on here and kind of mark with some tape how much space he's going to take up. Oh no. How do I do that? Okay, got some pink word up on it. Paper towels. So this is not couture surface. It's not exactly recyclable, but if you get a wet paper towel pretty quickly, it'll come up like it just did. And I'm going to just clean this off. Use it again. I am terrible about using a squeegee and just dumping it in water. And I mean, it's fine, I have plenty. But if I'm going to be using it, especially with the same color, then there's no reason to not just wash it and set it to the side so I can remove it and just wipe it off. And then I have to clean later, because I always have like 50 squeegees that I have to clean. Okay, so we're gonna do 4. So that's pretty dry. And I am going to get that maybe as wax. I'm going to wax very lightly. I am going to wax very lightly over that candy cane. If I had it on purpose, I could let it sit for like several hours. I probably wouldn't, but and because this surface is white in and of itself, the film that the wax sometimes leaves is not going to be quite as evident. So it's not the same as like if I had wax on that gingerbread with the bottom. So then we're gonna cut the candy cane that has the lines in it. And picking up all my real estate here. So this I'm gonna fuzz pretty well because we're gonna be chalking on top of the paste. Now there's less negative space here because it's got the lines there. Oh, and I just realized I have some pink Christmas ribbon from last year from an ornament class. I could make a cute little bow that would go with this. Yay! Okay, I'm very excited now. I knew I wanted to make this a hanging sign, and I knew I wanted to have the candy canes, in multiple places around it. And I could do candy canes close to the top and layer my own ribbon on top of it. And even if you didn't see all of the candy cane, that's totally fine. You can tell it's there. I'm just going to try and line this up. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then because this is the top, I'm going to use the Shimmer Couture Teal. And I could add some shimmer frost to that ballet slipper for the top layer. But my fear in that is that that's going to make that top layer, it's going to lighten up the pink because it's not just going to add the glitter, it's going to add white. I don't want to just add glitter because the glitter is going to clog my transfer. So I'm thinking that I can use the Shimmer Watermelon, or I actually have a Shimmer Melon. Either way, might make the effect I want. All right, so there's my first little candy cane. And so we're going to end up having a little guy right here, right in between these two lines, so that makes it nice. And then I can use some of our tape if I can find, and I don't think that's hardwoods, but and come across right at the bottom of that. It's not quite long enough, but I can use that piece for something else here in a second. And this is reusable, so you can just pull these pieces up. I'm trying to make sure that's straight. And then I can use part of this and mark the top of his head. And that helps me figure out then how much more usable space I have. So our gingerbread man is going to take up this whole area in here. But I can come along and layer more candy canes that way or up here. Because if I'm using vinyl, then I could get my gumdrop buttons to fit right in this space and then still have enough room at the top for ribbon. That's the word I was looking for. So I added the second candy cane. So I used the Couture teal as the base and then the shimmer watermelon on the top. So I had shimmer. And I think if I just incorporate some shimmer watermelon into some of the other pieces to tie it all together, I think that's going to look cute. So we're going to set that aside for a moment. And we're going to come back to our little gingerbread man. And I'm going to redo the face since we changed course after I had chalked it on the other side. I'm trying to decide how I want to do this at this point. Because I'm afraid if I do the vanilla, it's going to be too light and it's not going to show up. So I think I'm going to do his face in espresso. And I'm going to build a little bit, just the tiniest bit of surface wax on top of this ballet slipper. Again, it's a lighter color, so anything that, any residue or films that the wax might leave isn't going to show up as much. And then, I did not use very much at all, and then it buffed off pretty well, so we'll be okay. Shouldn't be able to see anything. And, put our little face down. And used this in a while, so we're gonna stir it up. Sometimes you can tell, like I could probably have gotten away without stirring this. It's not very thick at all, but it's just a good habit to get into. Now, I mean, if I use it again later today, or even if I were to use it tomorrow, I wouldn't necessarily need to stir it. But oh, I got shoot off side of the transfer there. Thought I had gotten a small enough squeegee. I wouldn't do that. Of course, now I have to be careful because I don't want to pull up any of the belly slipper. And because I waxed that, that's probably going to come up a little easier. But I'm also pulling up some of the belly slipper, which I don't want to do necessarily. If I feel like I need to, honestly, when that dries, I can lay the gingerbread man transfer back down and just go over that part again. That's why you want to be careful when you have a small design. As it's drying, it's kind of the color's kind of popping back up, so it might be okay. But that's an easy touch up if I need to, because that gingerbread man transfer is just a big open space. So all I would have to do is just small squeegee with some ballet slipper right in that area right there, and it'll be okay. And then I do want to put cheeks on him, but I do probably need to wait to see if I need to touch that up first. And I don't know if I want the heart buttons or the regular buttons. Or do I want a button in the center with hearts on the top and bottom? Or the other way around? I think I just want the regular buttons. We're going to doesn't help if I have the fuzzing cloth in my lap. Y'all can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to fuzz this well, and then I'm going to do the same thing as I did for applying the face. I'm going to wax the center area there just a little. And then for the buttons, we're going to use my shimmer couture teal and my shimmer watermelon. So I can tie all of this in with the candy canes. So let me get just a little bit of wax here. And just go over this area. Might have been a little heavier than I wanted, but that's okay. buff it off real well. I'm going back and forth on how I do the wax. These are the wax applicators. I've used these. I've used just other microfiber cloths. I've used my fingers. I can't figure out what I like best. And honestly, it probably varies from project to project, depending on what kind of surface I'm using and all of that. So this is the squeegee that I used to do the Couture watermelon or shimmer watermelon on that candy cane. So I'm just going to use that. And I'm going to do the top and bottom button in this. I'm going to do a little paste and peels. Lift that up. Lift this up from the bottom. And get my shimmer tool and have a similar size squeegee, so that'll work well. Try to make sure I don't hit where it says buttons because I don't want that to show up on my design here. Pull that up. So I probably will need to touch up the face a little bit because you can see, sure, you can see it in the camera. You can see quite a bit of the brown. But I'm also wondering, like, once I put cheeks on, are you really going to be able to tell that much? Heating up that. Also wondered how much I could touch that up with a paintbrush. I don't want to cover the brown. I feel like if I just were to dry brush a little bit, almost like it was a little chippy brush, I'd be able to fill some of that in without having to put the transfer back over it. And then, especially since I'm putting cheeks on it, I might not even really notice all that much. Because my fear about using the transfer is that it's going to make that part of it so much darker than everything else. think that's probably okay. So try to clean my brushes right away because I don't, when I end up with paintbrushes sitting upstairs for a week. So we're gonna do the cheeks, and I do think I'm gonna do the cheeks in vanilla because I think that those will stand out. So we're gonna. And because this is all negative space, I'm not really gonna wax this because I don't have to put the whole transfer down. And I'm gonna do this side first and let that side dry a little bit more. Now what'll be interesting is trying to line those up one side to the next. Just gonna use the small squishy end of my detail tool. Let's see if I can do this with some semblance of evenness. Not the best ballpark of these things. I think that'll work. I might want a second coat of the vanilla. Because as it's drying, you know, that balance that we're speaking is peeking through. So if I want this to pop a little more, I might need a little offcenter there. Might need a second coat of the vanilla. That's also something that's easy to fill in with a paintbrush. It's dry enough. And I can just take this little paintbrush and just, you know, as long as I just make sure I stay in that little circle, I can just add another layer here. Not having to worry about lining those transfers up again. Not sure what I think about the sheets, but that's okay. So then the only other thing I think we need to decide for our gingerbread man, does he need a little bow tie? So the ribbon will cover the buttons. So I don't want to do a ribbon, but I think he might need a little bow tie. But we can put ribbons on the candy canes. So that'll look cute. And then for the bow tie, we have a solid color layer. And then we have a plaid layer. And then first of all, I want to make sure I get the bow tie kind of in the right place. Maybe a little bit lower. And I think it's kind of crooked. Okay. I think what I didn't want to do for the bow tie is I want to use espresso as the base. And then we are going to go over that with the couture teal. I don't want to layer with the shimmer couture teal. I don't want to layer shimmer on top of shimmer. I think that will work very well. And since he already has ballet slipper on him as the base color, obviously that won't look right. So we got this little top there. So this is right. And I'm going to use just the slightest bit of wax. Since I'm really not giving that paste any time to cure. And I don't want it to lift when I paste on top of it. Was that pretty good? Line this up on top here. And let me get into that. Actually, I'm going to clean off the end of my detail tool because that's the perfect size for what I need here. Nice and small. Don't risk going off the edge here. Won't do too much paste. I like this on a multi-tool because it feels like a pencil. So it gives you that level of control when you're applying paste. Oh, that's cute. Cute, cute, cute. Even if I do say so myself. Okay, so we are done with that. And now we turn our attention back to our shiplap sign. So I found some pink glitter vinyl, and I found a cute font to spell out Gumdrop Buttons. I printed it out on a piece of paper first and lined it up on the shiplap sign to make sure it would fit where I want it. So now we're just going to read this. Trying to get all the little sticky pieces off my finger, but I have to wait until later. I do just try to layer them off each other though, and then usually take a pair of tweezers or something, pull them all off. I also decided that the gingerbread man did the little cutout lines on his arms, so I added those in the shimmer couture teal. So I'm going to pull this off my cutting mats. Let's get this out of my way. I'm going to get some transfer tape. So I have a piece already cut. Oh yeah, perfect. So this is the hardest part of working with vinyl, in my opinion, other than weeding, and that's if you're just doing a really intricate design, is transferring the design with the transfer tape to your surface. Now, of course, with heat transfer vinyl, it's not quite as challenging because you're not using the transfer tape. So if you've never done this before, you take your transfer tape and you lay it over your design, push it down, and then you have this little plastic tool. You can use a credit card. I mean, you don't have to have one of these. And you want to kind of push the tape down on top of the design. And then you peel the tape up off of the backing sheet for the vinyl. And then you line it up how you want it on your surface. So I definitely want some space in between the top of his head, which is going to be right about here, and the top of the board. And then also I want space on the top of the board because I want to add a ribbon or a bow. And then you use the tool again to apply the vinyl to your surface. And then you pull up your transfer tape. And you want to pull up your transfer tape flat. So you don't want to pull it up at an angle because you're more likely to pull up your vinyl with that. You also have to be careful of like the dots over eyes, or if there's little, I don't know what's called frou-frou element in your design. The smaller it is, the harder it is to get it off the transfer tape. So that actually worked really well. That was smoother than what I usually experience, which is nice. The type of vinyl does make a difference. Scissor and Oracle are my favorite. No offense to Cricut, but I will not use their vinyl to transfer or otherwise. Okay, so that's done. And then I want to add some ribbon to each of the candy canes. And I think how we're going to do this is solid color and whatever color the other one doesn't have. So like if I put this one on, then I'm going to do that in the sugar watermelon. And then that on that one is going to be the ballet pink. But I'm not going to layer it because I don't have two different colors that I want to use on each one. So this I'll have to wash in between. Because I don't really have like a fourth color that I can introduce here that would be the same color ribbon on both of the candy canes. So I'll do this one first. And I'm going to put it down low because I don't want any of the ribbon to cover up the curve of the candy cane. And the ribbon will get covered up a little bit by our little gingerbread person, but that's okay. Not really sure what color I used this for earlier. Whatever it is dry, so I'm not terribly worried about that. And because there wasn't a lot of negative space on that, I decided not to, or there was a lot of negative space on that, I decided not to worry about waxing on top of that. And what I'm going to do instead of washing this, so I can just kind of keep moving, is I'm going to clean it with a Clorox wipe. So you can do that if you're working on a project and you're wanting to reuse a transfer, and either you're pressed for time, or for those of you that might go live or do videos like I do, and you want to get the video done without, especially if you're live, like it's hard when you're live to walk away and wash a transfer. So sometimes we might have help, somebody who can do that for us, but not always. And then you can put it on your backer sheet because it'll just clean right off your backer sheet. And then because I'm the color, I just go over it a couple of times to really make sure I've got all of that watermelon off of there. So like I said, you can use Clorox wipes to do this. Do not use baby wipes. You can use baby wipes to clean tools. Baby wipes are great, obviously, to wash your fingers, especially if you're doing hot mess. But they will leave residue on your transfer. They will leave fuzz on your transfer, so you do not want to do that. You do not want to use those to clean the transfer. And then I can put this down on my fuzzing cloth and dry it off a little bit. Make sure there's no remnants left of that watermelon paste. Fuzz it some, and then I'm good to go to use it on this little candy cane. And so we are going to put this down, and again, I'm going to put it down kind of low so that it's not covering the curve. And I'm going to use the ballet slipper on this one because I don't have any of that on there. Don't need to stir that again because I just used it a little bit ago. So this gives me my love for what's the word? I like things to be balanced. There's a word for that. This gives me a little bit of my love for that. Also, kind of not, because I'm not making them the same colors, not lining everything up exactly the same way. Got a matte color on this one instead of a shimmer, etc. So a little bit of the best of both worlds there. I'm going to draw this so I can get it out of the way without worrying about touching it on anything. And then I can take this off. at this point, and I can take this off. Of course, I just folded all that up. And I can use that again. That's okay. I have quite a bit of it. Okay, so the last thing to do is our bow, and probably attach the twine to the back first before we do the bow, just because once I've done the bow, flipping it over on the side is not going to work out very well. I'm going to get some paper towels just to turn it over. Now, this guy is going to make it kind of heavy. I'm thinking about hanging fixtures. So I have various hanging fixtures. Because my fear is that just gluing twine to the back of this is not going to be strong enough that at some point the glue will break. If I put him on the back. Okay. So I decided to add in to the back of this for hanging and put some command strips on it because they make that will be strong enough to hold this. That's probably the best option. We're going to do our posts and then add our gingerbread to the sign. So I'm not like a world bow maker. I still like Google, YouTube, search for videos for making bows, even these little messy ones, because I never quite remember how to do it. So, but I have some ribbon that I bought from last year. This actually all came in one pack from Michael's. And except for this, I don't remember where I got this from. And so I'm not sure that this is going to be full enough at the end of the day. I might want to cut some more. And make it fuller, but I figured I would start out with this and see what it looks like. And I've got that. Yep, I want to cut another layer, I think. So I have, let's see, I'm kind of mixing and matching when I overlap it. So I have two more layers of that. Like this. So I'm cutting it as a 10-inch bow. And I'll trim it down. I didn't want it. It's my son texting me, but my wife, it's not urgent. Okay, so that's two more layers of that, and then I don't know that I have two more layers of this. See what we have it. I'm not going to have 2 more layers of that. When I crisscross it, I'll make sure that's lined up evenly at least. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 more layer of this. And then it's pretty close. Let's see if I get the tape off the end. Yeah, there we go. Not too close. 1 more layer of this. And then let's just do 1 more layer of that. So I don't have any solid color in here, which, you know, I might at some point wish I had. And then we're going to secure this with twine. So flip it over and I'm gonna tie it in the bow with the twine, which is what's kind of supposed to make it pull. Have to do a little bit of manual there. Twine on there. And then kind of fan this out some. I find that ribbon, yeah, this isn't tightening up enough. One, I actually find that like pipe cleaners or something like that work better. Zip ties work better. I might actually do that. I'm going to grab a zip tie. So I find that zip ties actually work better than anything because you can't pull them nice and tight. So we're gonna relayer this. But also some of this ribbon is the silky kind of ribbon, which I might actually pull those out. And I find that the grosgrain ribbon works much better when you're trying to do this than the satiny. Now I'm leaving in this one, the satiny kind, because of the Marion bright. But I have these ones with the little lights on them, and I'm going to pull those out and use the grosgrain that has the candies on it. That layer, I should have that layer, and so then I need to cut it. I thought I had more of this. If I had some solid green or pink or even teal or gray, throw on that. I don't. And I would like to get this project in today. I have a very bad habit of starting projects and then not necessarily getting them finished all in one sitting. And I would really like to have this project finished. Make me very happy. So we're gonna go with what I've got. Okay, and then I have it using a teal zip tie. We're gonna flip this over. Oh, and my zip tie is not turned back way. There we go. And okay, so it was turned the right way. And just get this in the middle. And try not to mix up my fan shape here. Yeah, see there we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. And the zip tie just pulled it tight enough that makes the ribbon do what it's supposed to do. And then I will cut the zip tie. Oops. Fling things everywhere. I'm going to turn on my glue gun. And then what we'll do is we're going to take this, because it's larger, and we're going to fold it. I'll fold it in half and glue it. See, this is where I always struggle. I can get them to splay out the way they're supposed to, and I can't get it to stay that way. So then I'm going to end up putting it on our little board, and it's going to flatten out a bit. But we're going to fold this ribbon in half and glue it that way. And then we're going to wrap it around that zip tie so you can't really see it. And then that gives us also something to glue, to attach the glue to get the ribbon on the board. And I might have to cut some of this down a little bit so you can read the gumdrop buttons, but I'm not going to do that until I get it on the board, because I don't want to cut it too small, and I may need to like cut a few pieces around the edge so that you can read. And then this is the fun part, because gluing ribbon almost always guarantees glue gun burns on your fingers. And then once we get the ribbon attached, we will attach the gingerbread man, and we're going to use both hot glue and score tape, because I have a project that I'm working on finishing, and it's a 3x3 box frame glued onto the inside of a shadow box, and I moved it the other day, and the 3x3 box frame fell. Now, I glued that before I got this new glue gun, and before I got the Gorilla Glue hot glue. So I know that when I re-glue it, it will glue better. But when I re-glue it, I'm going to also use score tape. We're going to take this, and I'm not going to cut it until I have the ribbon exactly where I want it, because I don't want to end up cutting it too short. Stringy glue here. I know that means my glue gun's not hot enough. I'm being impatient. Okay, big old dab of glue there. Use my scissors to push that down so I don't burn my fingers too much anyway. And then try to see if I can cut that a little more. And then fold this over and put a dab of glue there. Pull the ribbon over. Now it's not completely glued together right here. Although some of that glue should seep through. But I am going to put a dab of glue on the inside of that there so that it holds together completely. Can use my scissors. Okay. So now I'm going to cut this down. And cut that so you can't really see it. Okay. So there's our ribbon or our bow. Not bad for me. Again, not necessarily my strong suit. I did make a really awesome ribbon last year for a door sign that I made for a friend. And I'm hoping that I can replicate that this year because I want to redo our Christmas door sign. So I made one for her to replicate something that I have. But hers is better because I've learned how to do things better since I made ours. And so I want to redo ours like I did hers. And very not so on the top of hers that I'm really hoping I can kind of recreate. Different color scheme probably, but okay. So try to figure out. Let me fan some of this up there. I might end up going through and dovetailing some of these. But definitely going to need to trim these up a little so you can read what it says. I'm going to do that very carefully at an angle. And not exactly the same length across each, because it's okay if it's okay with me if you can't like completely see gumdrop buttons. And my ribbon just came off. Hot glue and I sometimes just do not get along. Telling it. Now this is a really slick surface, which might have something to do with it. So we might try my silver tape. So this stuff is awesome. If you are not familiar with silver tape, it's a double-sided tape. used a lot in paper crafting, but I have found it to be fantastic when it comes to things like attaching chalkable shapes to surfaces. It's also clear, so just trying to figure out what the noise was. Dog moving on the floor upstairs. Get this turned around and try to get it positioned where I wanted it to begin with. See if that score tape is going to work. Okay, so that score tape, as opposed to the hot glue, definitely seems to be the way to go with the ribbon. And I'm just working on trimming this ribbon, really only around the words. I don't necessarily feel the need to trim all of it. So I'm going to make sure that my angles are kind of this way. Right. The point needs to be on the outside, right? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I sometimes am spatially challenged, so I have to think about angles, cutting. I'll measure to cut a picture for a scrapbook page twice, and I will still somehow manage to cut it wrong. So just for symmetry purposes, that's the word I was looking for earlier. I'll probably end up cutting all of the ribbon to an angle, but not necessarily trimming all of the ribbon, if that makes sense. Like some of these I'm cutting shorter so that you can see the words. But as I get farther up the board, I don't necessarily need to cut a lot of length off the ribbon. I just want to create that angle so that it all kind of has that part to it. And as we get up to the top, I don't even know that I need to do that so much because it folds over. I do think I need to trim that up maybe a little bit more. The gumdrop, I think, is okay. I might need to cut the buttons side just a bit more. That's better. And then I'm kind of okay with how the rest of that looks. So I think our experience with the ribbon and hot glue, we're definitely just going to use score tape to attach our little gingerbread man. And I'm going to use my, I don't know which one this is. See, this, it comes in various sizes, which is nice. I think this is 3/8 of an inch. So I think that's 1/16. And we're going to use quite a bit because he is heavy. And so I'm going to make sure that he adheres well. And we're going to overlap some, or, you know, not overlap necessarily, but make sure that we find pieces line up together so that we're not putting too much pressure on any one area of tape. Conflicted about also adding some hot glue. Part of me wants to, and then part of me feels like it's really pointless because this is a slick surface. If I wanted to sand this down to get some of the coating off of it, that would make sense for using the hot glue. But I mean, that bow wasn't going anywhere, and that's also not as heavy. But I've used score tape on multiple occasions to apply chalkable shapes to surfaces and have never really had any problems. So I think I'm just going to trust the process and use this. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to have to cut that down because then the backer sheet on that one won't come off. So one thing that can be challenging with this is getting that backing sheet off. Fingernails help, of course, and making sure that the tape is really stuck down on your surface helps because you can separate the backer sheet from the tape. Okay, so for that, I'm going to stand up so that I can get him positioned where I want him. Now, the minute the score tape touches the surface, it sticks. So you want to make sure that before you really touch the surface, whatever you're sticking to your surface, that you have it where you want it, because that's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm feeling good about this. Hold this where you can see it. So that is my interpretation of our October Club Couture surface. You are still watching this video, thank you. If you have fast forwarded to the end, that's completely fine too. If you are not a club member, I will put a link to the Club Couture page on my Chalk site on the video, and some details in the video description about pricing. It's $21.99 a month, I believe. You sign up for 3 months, and then you can cancel anytime. You can gift a month. You can gift a subscription. If you are a Perks member, you get 30% off the club pricing. So that makes it 17 something a month, and you get the project shipped to you every month. There's nothing that you have to do, and you get a complete project. So you get a reusable transfer, surface, paste or ink, depending on what the project is, and a squeegee. So everything that you need, as well as instructions emailed to you, a video emailed to you. And then you have your designer. So if you were to sign up for Club as my customer, you would have me to reach out to if you had any questions or problems or anything like that. Um, so yeah, so that's our October Club. I will be back at some point with the November Club when I have it, and I will be back next weekend. Definitely with some Halloween projects. I've got some Halloween work I need to do. Anything you'd like to see, put it in the comments or email me, Whitney@girlfridaycrafts.com, or message me on Facebook. And I would love to know what you thought about this project. Thanks for watching. Bye.